that. Lando, let's come to you now. Your 4th podium here at Imola. How does this P2 compare to your pre-race expectations?
I mean, it's probably the best result I thought we could really achieve today. Probably just didn't expect the Red Bull to be quite as quick as they were. So I'm happy with second. From 4th was a good race. But yeah, Max was too fast today. So was a fun one.
You say it was a fun one. We saw you carve your way through the field. At what areas of the track was the MCL 39 especially strong today?
Yeah. It didn't really...
You mention it like that.
Yeah. Not the McLaren. I don't know. It didn't really feel great anywhere, to be honest. I don't know. It didn't feel wonderful to drive. But sometimes it doesn't, and you're just quick. So it's a little bit difficult to say. And it's just very, very bumpy track. A lot of these high-speed corners where we seem to maybe struggle a little bit comparing to the Red Bulls. That's where we suffered the whole season so far, is the high-speed corners. So we have to work in that area, and maybe that's proved to hurt us a little bit more this weekend. But we said it from the beginning that we have to keep working hard. Max has outqualified us several times, and their pace just converted today onto Sunday. Sometimes they've been ahead, but their pace on Sunday has not been too strong. They've maybe worked on some things, and their pace was better today, and that's the price we pay for not being quick enough.
No high-speed corners in Monaco next week. How much confidence do you have going to the Principality?
I've not even thought of it yet, to be honest. So, normal amount, whatever that is.
Now, look, prior to the restart on lap 54, was there any discussion over the radio about how you and Oscar would take the fight to Max in those final laps?
No.
No discussion of team orders? You were on the fresher tyres after all?
Yep, no, there was nothing.
And tell us about the move on Oscar then.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good battle between us. I was just on the fresher tyres, so, I was always going to have that slight advantage on him. Just with the DRS, I managed to just have a good last couple of corners, and I knew that was going to be not my one chance, but you saw, like, once I passed him, how easy it was to pull away. So it was clear he was just struggling with the tyres, which I think everyone did quite a lot of today, was struggle with the tyres. So it was a close one. I don't know how close we got into turn 1, but we're both racing. We both want to beat one another, and it was good that we could race closely like that today.
Did you touch?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how close we got. So,
all right, Lando, very well done. Thank you very much for that. Oscar, let's come to you now. Really good fight back to the podium, but what is your overriding emotion following the race?
I think obviously slight disappointment. Probably it's never a great day when you start first and finish third. So, just not a great day. I think turn 1 was not ideal. I think in the end our stop timing wasn't. I think the race just panned out differently to how we expected at the start of in that first stint. So then the timing of the VSC and the safety car, it was kind of, the race was very tough from very early on. So I think honestly, given people had fresher tyres at the end, hanging on to a podium is not a bad result. And you're going to have tough days in the championship, and this is clearly one of them. So as long as we learn the lessons, then that's all I can ask.
One more question about turn 1. Did Max surprise you?
Yeah. I mean, I thought I had it pretty under control, and it was a good move from Max. So I'll learn for next time, clearly. But I think at that point, I think at that point I wasn't overly concerned to not be in the lead, but then our pace just wasn't as strong as I expected. So that compounded that first corner.
you were one of the first drivers to pit on lap 13. Was it a clear two-stop for you at that stage?
Not clear, but I think a lot of people around were struggling. I was starting to struggle a bit. We kind of discussed it a bit, I guess, but it's something we still need to go through more clearly, because I think maybe we reacted a bit too quickly. But we'll have a look.
Okay, look, final one from me. Podium at Monaco last year. Just how much do you relish the challenge of the Principality?
It's a circuit I enjoy. Last year was a really good weekend for me, so hopefully we can go one better this year. That would be nice, but it's going to be interesting to see it's the same tyres as this weekend, but how they perform in a very different environment like Monaco, and then obviously a two-stop race. So, let's see, but I think I'm confident they will be quick and, try and go again.
Fresh intrigue about the cause of the performance swing between Red Bull and McLaren in Formula One has opened up, with it emerging that the FIA issued two separate technical directives ahead of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, just a fortnight on from McLaren dominating the Miami Grand Prix thanks to its better tyre management. The tables were turned at Imola on Sunday, as it was Red Bull that held the advantage by being more on top of the tyres. While a host of factors are understood to have played their part in what happened, which includes the track layout hurting McLaren, Max Verstappen running in clean air, and upgrades on Red Bull's RB21, another fascinating element has since come to light. Senior sources within Red Bull have not ruled out another factor at play, and that is of two technical directives issued by the FIA in the build-up to the Imola race, potentially playing a role in what happened by slowing McLaren. It is this which is understood to have triggered Red Bull team principal Christian Horner to suggest after the race that the shock of Verstappen's win was not of the pace advantage his squad had. "We were sort of more surprised about McLaren's lack of performance," he said. "The race has learned that the issue revolves around communications on two separate topics that the FIA made in the days before the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The first TD relates to the measurement of skid block materials and the way that some teams had found clever ways to pass the probe tests that measure the depth of the plank after the race. The TD clarified the type of materials that can be used in the area of the skids, plus how they could be mounted, in a bid to stop teams trying to find ways to run closer to the limit, but still pass the minimum depth test. Any team that had been exploiting this area in the past to help run their car lower to the ground would have had to lift it up for the Imola race. A second TD did not change any of the FIA's interpretations of regulations, but was instead the publication of a communication between the governing body and Red Bull relating to some questions about devices that could potentially be allowed to help with tyre cooling. It is understood that the FIA made clear that a host of design ideas relating to the use of water cooling of wheel assemblies and tyres, plus other systems, would not be allowed. This type of dialogue between teams and the governing body, where ideas are suggested only to be ruled out, is commonly used to smoke out concepts that rivals could be running to exploit grey areas of the regulations. With the FIA publishing to all teams its guidance to Red Bull on what it felt would not be allowed, this would rule out any of its competitors being able to continue running anything covered in these documents. From Red Bull's viewpoint, the timing of the intervention of the FIA on two key areas of car performance, coming ahead of a weekend where its main rival did not enjoy its previous level of dominance, certainly seemed to be more than coincidence. However, from McLaren's perspective, it is absolutely adamant that the TDs had no role at all in what played out at Imola. Team insiders are clear that the skid block clarification did not force it to make any change to its car, nor the way the MCL39 was run, as it felt that this TD was potentially aimed at other competitors. Furthermore, on the tyre cooling issue, the FIA has already examined McLaren's wheel assembly and brake system several times, which included a detailed physical inspection after the Miami Grand Prix. At all times, the FIA has declared it is satisfied with what McLaren is doing, with sources suggesting that its concept is clever. This means that it was running at Imola exactly the same way as before. McLaren team boss Andrea Stella has repeatedly suggested that rivals are looking in the wrong areas when it comes to pointing fingers at what his squad is doing, with it already having faced suspicions over flexi wings, water in tyres, and mini DRS. Speaking at Imola last weekend, Stella said, "For us, it's good news when our rivals get their focus, rather than on themselves onto some of the aspects that allegedly are present in our car, and that effectively are not even present. And certainly, even if they were, let's say, flexi wings like a front wing deflection, like everyone else, it has nothing to do with the reason why McLaren is very competitive. So, I hope that in the future there will be more of these kinds of sagas, because it means that our rivals keep focusing on the wrong things. And this is for us just good news, it's just helping our quest."